What's happening, good people? Welcome to the channel. I'm Wes, aka Mr. Budget Watch, and today we are going to be doing a informal review of the Casio A100WEL-1AEF. Yeah, definitely not the catchiest of names, but we're just going to call it the A100 because, you know, that's pretty much what it is. So in this sort of review, I'm just going to go over what I like, what I don't like, and yeah, my experience with having this watch for over a week now. I think I've had it around 10-11 days when I'm filming this. So we'll get the sizes out of the way first, and then we'll talk, you know, what I like, what I don't like, and yeah, all the other stuff you need to know. So this one is 32.6 wide, so it's really nice and narrow. Top of the case to bottom of the case is just under 40mm at 39.9. 9.2 millimeters thick, so it's really nice and slim. 48.6 lug to lug, so that is just at this tip to just the tip there. And we have an 18mm lug width if you do want to swap out the strap. Water resistance, I think, is 30 meters, but there isn't actually a proper number. It's just called splash resistant, which is usually like 30 meters, but you know, don't quote me on that. So I'm just going to call this one allergic to water. I wouldn't even get it anywhere close, to be honest. On this leather strap, it weighs 30 gram. We have a high polish resin case and a stainless steel case back, but more on that in a little bit. So, you know, design wise, I actually really like this one. There's a few different color options of this watch. There's well, yeah, quite a few now, I think, actually. There's about 5 or 6. But this is the one I decided to go for because I wanted one a little bit more plain and without all the sort of colour pops on it. So if you want one that's a little bit more colourful, then I'd obviously, you know, choose one of them options. So you can see, you know, we've got Casio, water resistant, which could have, you know, done without. And then you can see here, you know, you've got your month, hour, and then day, so second, minute, and then day thing, and that's for your timer. And then of course you've got your display. Now they do one with a negative as well, but I obviously wanted thing because it's a lot easier to read. I've got a couple of negative displays from Casio, and they're not the easiest to read in all lighting situations. So that's why I decided to go for this one as well as the you know, the cleaner aesthetic. And of course you've got your 4 buttons, which are not really sort of labelled. And I'll show you where you actually find out what the buttons do later on. The case, like I mentioned already, is resin and high polish. You can just see it sort of really borders all the nice blacks. We've got like a glossy black surround here around the around the display, and then we've got a gloss black accent here that surrounds your buttons. And then of course, you know, we've got that high polish everywhere else, and you can just see this lovely sort of chamfered edge. It really does give the watch a little bit of interest, and it plays with the light so nicely as well. Usually you guys know I always complain about high polish, but you know what, I actually don't mind it here. I think it works really well. You can just see, you know, the gloss black and the glossing, it just really works, and it's so shiny. And I don't know why I like it. I would obviously be like, you know, if I saw this, but it's high polish, I don't like it, but I do. So yeah, I think I'm broken, to be honest. But anyway, it's a really nice look and a nice combination, and I think it complements each other really well. To the back, you can see we have a brush case back and Casio water resistant, the module, which I'll cover in a little bit, model number, stainless steel, water resist, made in China, and something that I can't read at the minute because I've not got my glasses on. And then we've got what all your buttons do around the front, and I like that they've put it around the back because it just keeps it nice and clean, so there's not too much text, you know, cluttering the front of it. So you can see if you flip it over, you've got your light, and then you've got your start, so that's for your timer, and then you've got your reset and your mode. So here's your mode button, you press that, you can see we have a daily alarm, and then you've got your stopwatch, and then you've got your time. So if you want to adjust your time, you use the buttons here, and that'll adjust your time. And then here you press this button, and you can see, oh, my camera's not focusing. So you've got your day and date sort of thing. I've not set it though because I was lazy. And to be honest, you don't really need to know the date when, you know, pretty much everyone's got a phone these days. So as long as it's got the accurate time, you know, it's perfectly fine. So now I'm going to talk about sort of the biggest complaint I have with this watch actually. And it's not the water resistance, which you might think with it being allergic to water. But then again, if I'm doing anything near water, I take it off. My biggest complaint is this strap. I mean, it looks really cool. I actually like the aesthetic that it creates, but the quality is just not that great. I mean, you can see it's sort of creasing, but not in a nice way. Like, you know, when you get that leather and it creases really nicely, and it looks all patinaed and aged and worn. This just, yeah. But it's sort of like this weird plasticky leather, and it's not the best quality. So I am going to be swapping out the strap, I think, to something else. But obviously for the review, I wanted to keep it on, obviously, because this is what it comes on. And, you know, straps to fit this are probably not going to be that easy to find. So that's going to take some further research. So you can see it is genuine leather, but it's not the highest grade. It's definitely more sort of plasticky feeling. I mean, it is reasonably flexible. It's broken in quite well. Decent amount of adjustment holes, and they've all stayed pretty well intact. So I've got no massive sort of complaints there. Usually on leather straps, they can sort of like stretch a little bit and look a bit odd, but these ones have kept, you know, they've kept quite well. So good job there. My other thing as well is it's quite long. I don't really think it needed to be as long as this. I think it definitely could have been, you know, being, you know, a little bit shorter, to be fair. But, you know, that's what Casio have done. But yeah. This side, you know, we've got a fixed keeper, floating keeper, no branding on it at all. And then we've got this really basic silver buckle, china. It's decent, you know, it's not the best. I mean, you know, it's a bit floppy, but it does its job. Drilled at the side, so you can always replace it if it ever gets damaged. So let's talk comfort now, and you know what? I'll get it on wrist and show you. Alright guys, so here it is on my 6-inch wrist, and you know what? It actually wears really nicely, and it's very, very comfortable, surprisingly, on this strap. I thought it were going to be, you know, not that great, and I'll be honest, it's not the best leather strap I've ever come across, but you know what? It's alright. It's not like I want to throw it in the bin bad, but it's not sort of amazing either, if that makes any sense at all. But you know, I love the size. I think it looks really nice on wrist as well. You can see it sort of does sit a little bit high. I think it's just because of this strap, so you just have to sort of oik it down a little bit at times. But yeah, I think it looks nice. I like the shape and profile of it. You know, you can see it sits reasonably well, but it does, as you can see, it's shifted up again to the top. But I think on a different strap, it would be better. But yeah, I think it's, you know, it's a comfortable watch. It's nice and lightweight. But, you know, it's not the most comfortable Casio I've got, but it's not the least either. Plenty of adjustment holes for you guys with thicker wrists than myself, but none if you've got slimmer wrists. So if you do have a smaller wrist than myself, then you might want to opt for the braceleted version or look for a different strap, which I'm going to do anyway, because like I said, it's not the best. So quickly, we're just going to talk the module, and you know, I'm not taking it off wrist because I'm lazy. So this is the 3503, negative to plus 30 seconds per month, so, you know, not the best, but I think it's all right for the price point. We get a 3-year battery life, and here are your, you know, sort of features you get with it. So you've got a 60-minute timer, which is 1 in 1/10 second. We have a daily alarm, an auto calendar that is a proper one as well, which I'm quite impressed at. And it has 28 days for Feb, which not many do. So I think that's pretty cool. And it uses a CR1616 battery if you ever need to, you know, change it out. So yeah, it's a good module. It's definitely not got the best battery life, but I think if you got a, you know, sort of high capacity battery, then it should last a little bit longer. And I don't know what it's actually like to sort of change the battery on these, but you know, I guess we'll find out in 3 years if I've still got it. There is one last thing I am going to show you, and I am going to actually have to take the watch off for that. So the last thing I want to discuss is the illumination, and usually from Casio, you'd either see the iconic F91W, which has got that little terrible green LED, or you'll see the illuminators, which have got the ridiculously bright blue. And that's what I thought this were going to be. But I was wrong. It's actually orange. You can see on screen now the low light of this, because obviously it's too bright under my studio light to see it. But you can see now that it is actually pretty good. It's definitely not the best illumination that Casio does, but I think it sort of suits the aesthetic of this watch quite well. And I think the blue is a little bit too crisp and modern for this watch, and I think the orange definitely suits it a lot better. So it is very functional, and it does work. And it is really good in low light, but you know. So the light, yeah, is pretty solid. I got sort of sidetracked. But yeah, as a whole, you know, if you can get this at the reduced price, I think it's a pretty solid buy. I mean, I wish I'd have just spent that little bit more and got it on the bracelet instead of the strap, and then I probably wouldn't have had to be looking now for a you know, a different strap for it. If I can even find one that suits the aesthetic, which I'm thinking is going to be a bit of a challenge. But as a whole, do you know what? I like the watch. It's definitely not my favourite Casio. I'm just going to put that straight out there. It's not my favourite I've you know, had hands-on with, but I do like it enough to keep it for now. Will it be permanent mainstay in the collection? That one I'm not too sure on. I guess we'll have to see at the next you know, state of the collection. So what do you think of this Casio? Are you a fan of these more sort of retro styled ones? Or do you prefer, you know, the other Casios on offer? Let me know down below. Thanks for watching the video. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any uploads. And of course, follow me on social media at Mr. Budget Watch. Thanks again. I'll see you soon.